So we try to be an inclusive podcast, right?
Absolutely.
Is that word still legal? So we want to talk not just about HR, and we'll give peeks behind that, but that's why I like to sometimes talk about my days working in sales. Now, again, this was me right out of college, but this was corporate, big time, B2B sales, meaning we were calling like executives at Fortune 1000 companies. And when I started, I was calling chief financial officers. And I've talked about how a big part of our role was getting people's attention. And what was a big role then is still now, how do you do that? And I've mentioned the email subject lines that I used and suggested and got moderately disciplined for. But sometimes you really had to think outside the box.
Ooh.
So I had a few people in particular, and if you've been in sales, this may resonate, of like, this was a prospect and you had your mind on this, like, this is going to happen. I'm going to get through to them somehow, and at least get a response of like, go F yourself or something like that. But I really wanted to get creative. But at this time, I actually wasn't thinking about this because it was on the weekend. And back then, I really had pretty good work-life balance. And so on a Sunday, I was sitting and doing something I like to do every week, which is to read the New York Times. And I did it at the library because I didn't have money for a subscription back then. But I would go and read the New York Times, especially Sunday Styles, which is, they have like wedding announcements and things like that at the end. It's like so good. And so there I am reading through these aspirational lives that are completely different from mine. And so they'll include these things of like where their parents work. And so as I'm reading one, the bride's father is the chief financial officer of XYZ Corporation.
Dang. Slam dunk for Ashley.
Ooh.
So what would a normal person do with that?
Literally nothing.
Right, keep
Right.
keep reading. But I'm not normal. And so I saw this and I thought, oh my gosh. So I pretty much ran out of there and ran to the local, wherever I went, and got a copy of the paper and took it home. And I got out my scissors and I cut out the wedding announcement of a complete stranger's daughter.
It's giving stalker.
I mean, I guess I thought of it as initiative. And so I thought, what do I do with this? So I brought it back to the office. And so we had a mail room where you could get thank you cards, generally thank you cards for people that other people had actually met in person. But so I went and wrote this card out and wrote a note saying, dear so-and-so man, I saw this and I was so delighted and congratulations. Again, probably putting more detail in the note than necessary. And I sent it off. And I also included my work email in it because I am a complete loser.
It's actually really thoughtful.
Thank you for that. Because you know who thought so as well? That CFO.
Hell yeah.
Because this was in the days of a little bit more reliable postal service times. And so it was like, I think they were in like, let's say Chicago, they were living, not New York. But I got a note like 5 to 6 days later, an email. It wasn't a restraining order. In a shocking turn of events, I thought there might be a PDF from Pacer with the docket on top, but it was a note saying, Ashley, thank you so much for your thought and genuine care. And the best part is in the email, I'd be happy to take a meeting.
Yes.
Oh.
So I have to say, even though it felt like a little bit like a loser strategy, I felt like a winner. I talked about it in the team meeting and I could see my boss was actually pretty happy with me because this was a good thing. Other people in the team meeting were like, yet again, there she is. I was that one, and that was that. So again, you always have to use your discretion about how that's going to be perceived. And I sent it to the corporate office. Like I didn't go deep and find a home address or things like that. That wouldn't be appropriate.
Yeah.
Not that clearly stopped me sometimes at 22. But anyway, initiative and the workplace takes all forms. And sometimes it takes forms that are really right on the edge of stalker and superstar.
Edge of reason.
I mean, hey, look, it worked.
It did. So, there we go.
It was so thoughtful, you know what I mean? So, that's, at the end of the day, we want to work with people we'd enjoy working with, right? And so you came through as thoughtful and considerate, and that's good karma right there. So it just came right back.
I think so.
I love that.
I do sometimes now try to think about things on the flip side. And what if it was like some sales vendor and I got it like a card in the mail with like some very personal.
You'd be like, F this guy. You just throw it away.
Totally. So in a few months' time, we'll hear an intro story of me totally roasting somebody that sent a personal newspaper article to me. So, it depends. It depends on the source, I suppose.
I'm no tech genius, but I knew if I wanted my business to crush it, I needed a website now. Thankfully, Bluehost made it easy. I customized, optimized, and monetized everything exactly how I wanted with AI. In minutes, my site was up. I couldn't believe it. The search engine tools even helped me get more site visitors. Whatever your passion project is, you can set it up with Bluehost. With their 30-day money-back guarantee, what have you got to lose? Head to Bluehost.com to start now.
Hey, besties, real talk. You know that pit in your stomach when an employee asks something and you're not 100% sure of the answer? Or that worry that you might be missing something big? I've been there. Trying to be the HR superhero while secretly Googling employment law at 2 a.m. That's why I love Guardian HR. They're like having an entire team of HR experts and employment lawyers in your corner. No more second guessing yourself. No more feeling like you have to know it all. Your dedicated HR manager becomes your go-to for every, am I doing this right moment? Plus, they've got unlimited attorney access, no hourly fees. I'm sorry, what? And all forms and templates and handbook reviews that you need to stay ahead. Visit GHRbesties.com. That's GHRbesties.com and see what it's like to have real backup. You're already amazing at your job. Imagine what you could do with a dream team behind you.
I love that. It's so positive in a non-toxic way, which is a wonderful lead-in to today's topic, toxic positivity. All right, here's what we got on the docket today. Thank you, Ashley, so much for that water cooler talk, giving all of us ideas on how to hustle a little further in our personal lives and work. Love it. Next, we'll move to Cringe Corporate Speak, and Jamie's up at bat on that one. Then our topic of today, I already alluded to it, all things toxic positivity. So maybe some of those red flags, right, to help you identify whether you are in a toxic positivity environment, culture, and, what to do about it if you are, right? So we'll share some of our experiences with you on that. And then as always, questions and comments at the end. How does that sound? Good? It's a strong agenda today.
Perfect. Positively positive.
Love the topic. Positively positive. Jamie, what do you got?
Workshop.
Oh, God. Use it in a sentence.
I actually heard this very recently and I stopped dead in my tracks and I was like, I'm sorry, what?
We're doing what?
And the person was referring to, we're going to have to go back and workshop that and then I'll come back. Like, I'll bring it back and I'm going to tell you, it was very hard for me to not have a visceral reaction on the video call I was on.
Sounds like someone who's not done a lot of workshopping would say. You know what I mean?
Because it's like, what point in time was it? Like what date, time, meeting was it that workshop went from a noun to a verb?
Yeah, like workshopping, like what?
It never did for me. No. In none of my businesses. I've not heard that.
I found an answer. If we
I was like, are you live Googling? Because I'm live Googling too.
Oh, did you? Like, does it have a date when idiots started saying that?
I found that it was a noun starting from the mid 1500s.
Okay.
Yeah, like a workshop, a wood workshop or something.
I mean, well, just hold for a second. I don't mean to sound ignorant of history, but I'm having such a hard time with centuries and centuries ago. In what context was it used then?
Like for Pinocchio, like Geppetto's workshop.
Oh, you're so right.
Yeah, like a workshop where you do literal work.
Oh, gosh, you're so right.
Like a work with your hands.
Like Santa, right? Like Santa's workshop.
Like, oh, should we go invade? Yeah, like, let's go to Mesopotamia. Like,
no, girl, they were making puppets back in the day and shit. Okay, benches and tables and shit.
You're so right. Oh my God.
She's like thinking T-Rex.
That's funny.
Yeah, like we're going to have a workshop on this battle of Gibraltar. Okay. I also love that you went straight to Geppetto as the example of the workshop. It's a good one. It's a reliable. It is a good workshop. Okay.
Oh gosh, yeah. I don't know why. Oh my god.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I was literally thinking, like, what kind of planning session would they call workshop? Again, like now I've said this in front of you two and others, clearly, those listening. Man. Just like the stuff when people say in meetings, everyone else is like, this dumbass. That was me. So,
that's
okay.
Funny. I love it.
As you say, not editing that out. But so 1500s workshop.
Yes.
Got it. Totally. But the first usage was by the Muscatine, Iowa Journal in the 1960s as a verb.
Oh, no, come on.
Somebody is trying to move from Muscatine to Des Moines, get to the big city with the, we're going to workshop it straight to the top.
Respectfully, of course, if you're in that area of the world.
Yeah,
Oh, man. I have not had it as a verb, y'all. I've never workshopped it.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a first for me. I was like, wait, what?
I've heard it. I tell you what, I think there's 100% correlation between the number of people that use workshop as a verb and the people that end their sentences in right with like a question mark. Like, we're going to need to go back and workshop this because everything I'm saying is, spelled out right, like that. I do think there's a total correlation. So if you have said workshop as a verb or if you've said right at the end of the sentence, again, this isn't.
Right?
This is a moderate shade, I guess, to you, but just know that others in the meeting are probably having some of the same thoughts that we are. So we're just letting you know semi-privately.
Semi-privately, right? This is a safe space.
We only have over 1 million downloads.
It's true.
I know. True. Yeah, that happened. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, shall we workshop this shit, I guess? I don't know.
Geppetto.
I know. Should we Pinocchio?
Yeah, I was like, I wish I had a long nose right now.
Well, you know what? I'm going to save this for the questions and comments at the end.
Ooh.
Okay. Just let me write it down. I'm going to write it on my hand.
Oh, there you go. We'll jump right in then to the hot topic of today, which is all things toxic positivity, right? And the toxic positivity trap. So what are some red flags that you all have seen? Because if you're sitting at home, you may be like, what the hell is toxic positivity? Maybe you've never heard of it. Maybe you study it. I don't know. Everyone's in a different place with toxic positivity. But what would this look like red flags wise, like in a workplace?
Yeah, I mean, I think toxic positivity is very like a good vibes only type. And you've seen those t-shirts or the bumper sticker, good vibes only. And look, I've even said it. I'm guilty. It's something where maybe we're putting lipstick on a pig, to quote one of our previous corporate cringe speaks, but it's almost like dressing up something that maybe isn't so great. And that's what is the toxic part, right?
Like no negative emotions ever allowed, right? You can't just express the reality of things sometimes because, come on, things aren't always great at work or anywhere, So I think in the toxic positive workplace, they just don't allow kind of those real perspectives.
Yeah. And I think it's okay to like feel your feelings and even vent anger or frustration. Yes, do you need to move on and not harbor it? Sure. But I'm a very and I always have been like a silver lining girly, like everything happens for a reason. But that too is toxic positivity. But I do try to see the outlook of things. Like obviously losing my job, I'm trying to see like, okay, now I can spend more time on the podcast and my socials and building my brand. But also, is it?
Well, I think, well, first of all, I'd say for you, Jamie, yes, it can be. And there's all the natural feelings, though, that go along with that. Is that anytime, especially job loss is something that a lot of people out there have faced or they have loved ones that are facing. And it's hard because, well, you don't want someone to just wallow and feel upset. There's part of that that's very natural. And there's a lot of really natural feelings with it. And to use Leigh's word of real. And then to your point, like that's good, but it's really hard to immediately flip the script because there are a lot of good things that you have that you now have time to spend on. But it's also a really rocky, windy road to get between the shit that you've gone through and the wonderful things that hopefully are coming. But the real aspect is the one that I think more leaders in particular need to recognize, especially those leaders that are setting things from the top that may be having this. Okay, onward, you should feel lucky to still have a job to those remaining. Like you shouldn't, it's not natural to feel guilt and to feel worry. And what do I say to my friends? Can I still reach out to them? What do I possibly do and say? And so if in the workplace, you're trying to make people pivot from those natural feelings to something that's, again, good vibes only, then you're missing out on the real, and that will get out in other ways. That gets out inside text, that gets out to people cutting out early, going to lunches, giving a big middle finger to the screen during the all hands. Like all of those things are really happening, whether you want to recognize it or not, when you're not creating space for more productive conversation. And so I guess that's a point, is toxic positivity. And let's say something like a layoff. And we've done an episode on layoffs, but even since we did that one, which was a while ago, it's just so much more common. And I hear people saying, like, are people just getting numb to about it? Are people not talking about it? And so in those circumstances, like let's say you're a team member you do have your job, but others lost theirs, maybe others your work besties or others you worked closely with. How do you have real conversations with team members that are still employed?
Yeah, I mean, it's like almost feeling a guilt that you are still employed and they are not, then they are gone, right? But I think also from an HR standpoint, whenever anyone has come into my office and maybe they're venting, I always like stop them and be like, okay, do you want to vent, or do I need to bust out my pad and pen and take notes because you want advice or you need me to do something on this? And I think that's a healthy way to look at someone venting and feeling their emotions, right? Like, I know, shout out to my husband, but like even to him, sometimes I have to preface, I just need to vent. I don't need solutions.
Yeah, I don't need you to fix this.
I
Right?
just need to bitch for like a good 5 minutes and then I'll say my piece and I've moved on. Because it's okay to feel your emotions and it's healthy, frankly. So we shouldn't bottle them up and be like shaming people for having emotions or frustration about something that's happening at work.
What is your favorite thing to come out of Australia? Yes, this is one of my favorite questions. And you may say the crocodile hunter or Tim Tams, but my new favorite Aussie export that's finally available in the US is the koala sofa bed. So if you're thinking, I need a sofa bed, why should I get a koala? Well, this is why I'd recommend it. Super comfortable, like very comfortable mattresses, and they have this mattress technology inside. Beautiful color options. No sad beige. It's all inspired by the Aussie outback. There's no uncomfortable metal frame, so it's actually designed for comfort. And if you're worried about putting it together, they have tool-free assembly. So no Allen wrenches, no stress, no tears. Now, whatever your space, even small spaces, Koala Sofa Bed comes in 3 sizes. And they're eco-friendly and ethical, from being B Corp certified to donating more than $6.5 million to environmental causes. Now, there's fast shipping and free returns, but I think you'll like it. There's no delivery or restocking fees, and a 120-night risk-free trial. So if you're listening and thinking, wait, I'm interested in a sofa bed, I should check out Koala. I agree. You can upgrade your space with the most stylish, customizable, and elevated sofa bed available. To get up to $250 off your new sofa, plus fast shipping, go to us.koala.com/HRBesties. That's us.koala.com/HRBesties to get up to $250 off your new sofa. Koala, comfy, easy, sustainable.
I think when we started the podcast, we really thought it was just going to be like us and our mics and our thoughts, but it was actually so much more than that. We were the editor, the producer, the social media manager, the scheduler, the graphic designer. Basically, it's a lot. And don't get me wrong, it's all very exciting. But I remember thinking, I wish there was one place we could go to at least make some of this easier. And that's exactly what Shopify is for business owners. Whether you're selling merch, launching a new product, or building your brand from scratch, Shopify is the business partner that helps you get started and keeps you going. It's like having an entire team in your corner, but one that actually knows what's going on. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands that are just getting started. Get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready to use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand style. Accelerate your content creation. Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that help you write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. Get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns whenever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing refunds and beyond. So if you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 a month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/HRBesties. Go to shopify.com/HRBesties. Shopify.com/HRBesties.
It's important, the folks that remain to not bring this to just be grateful you have a job energy, right? You already kind of mentioned that as well. It really is invalidating of people's emotions. So I think that that is so important that, hey, okay, everyone's on different paths, but everyone still deserves to be heard and should have the space to be heard. And when you just shut folks down, it really, that silencing hurts, it really, really does. And to me, that's probably the biggest red flag of a toxic, a positivity sort of environment, where no one can really feel safely. I don't know how to put that, but I've definitely had in the past, managers say, oh, just be grateful you have a job, at all. Like when I bring something up that is less than great. And it's like, well, I'm just trying to drive some solutions here to make something better. I'm not like bitching. I'm just saying, hey, like this is an area of opportunity. Like, let's maybe make it better. And it's just bizarre how, in those toxic positive, sort of environments, there's like no accountability, from a lot of people. That's my sense. It's like an insane lack of accountability. Everything's personal and not systemic or not, focused on the organization. It's complex, right? But it's just in my experience, it's like people they don't want to talk about things like in a real sense. They don't want to workshop things to get better,
Yeah.
I once had a boss say something to me that, years and years ago, that stuck with me. I think I couldn't find my keys. There we are. She was like, every time I lose my keys, I found them, which I was like, okay, helpful, there. But she's like, every time I lose my keys, I remember the human's capacity to forget. And so that means that as you go through some of the toughest moments, it doesn't mean that you'll completely forget them, but they will get easier over time. I do think at that time I was still looking for my keys, and so I didn't appreciate the
You're
message.
like, okay, whatever.
At that point in time, but now as I lose my keys and find them, I do think it shows when you go through tough times, it can feel all consuming. And so as an organization, part of the role is to make sure that it's not all consuming. Those things that can be, and that's where you can provide that support. And whether it's a leader that is like a CEO on a town hall that's talking about, a lot of people have this aspiration to be a CEO, but this is one of the aspects that's really hard. And this is job law. And using, again, some of the things you can do are to use real terms and saying, I know you all, there's others of you that here that are wondering, what happens to them? How do I reach out to them? We're going to send some ways, and you can have your own talking points. But sometimes if you're just at a loss, here's ideas of things that you can do and say to other colleagues. And just that it's knowing that they need to hear from you. This is what we're doing to support them. Some of those aspects you can have, and these are the cuts I'm taking personally. And it's a fine line, because the problem I see at times is when it's those employees that are on the bottom of the org chart or mid-levels of the org chart, and they feel like the ones that are going through it all, and that nobody at the top feels that way. And so sometimes to the extent you can talk about specifics, but just to understand that's what their feeling is. And there's a difference between hype and hope. So a hype to be like, you know what, it's good. We are all good. We are getting back into it. Like flip, let's have the carnival on the day of a layoff, to Jamie's previous example. But there's another of giving hope. People do want to have some glimmer and say, this is our plan and this is what we want to do. So to the extent that you can provide that more certainty moving forward, sometimes that's what you can do. It doesn't have to be perfect, but pretending that there's nothing in the middle and no very real feelings, those feelings will come out in other ways.
I think that's good, like manager advice. What if you're an employee and you are stuck in an environment like that? I mean, how would you advise someone that came to you for coaching on this? What do I do in this toxic positivity environment?
Well, I'd flip that to you, Leigh, our toxic workplace rescue chief.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I mostly deal with the abusive, toxic negativity environments. But I'd say that it's important to not fake it. You may have to put a little polish on it. I mean, I would not advise being too real in environments like that just because it's not safe. It's really not. I've been very authentic and real in those environments, the toxic positivity environments, and it really does make you a target, especially to your peers. And I mean, it just keeping it real, right? I'm just keeping it real. But I think that it is important still to not overly pretend things are great, right? Maybe just, phrase things a certain way, or, be careful, cognizant who you're talking to, right? The ones that are very toxic positive in your office, maybe to have a little avoidance of being too real and open and authentic with those people just because you cannot trust them. Because don't confuse toxic positivity for support. They're not supportive, they're full of shit. So just, you got to be kind of honest with that. I think that's really important. And then I would find your person, find your safe place. It may not be there at work, like Jamie was saying, it's her husband that she can, bitch to, and that's great. I mean, find that trusted mentor or support, that you can have that real talk with, because an environment like that, again, it is toxic, right? It's starting with the word toxic, even though it may feel okay or better than a toxic negative environment. And there's still a lot of toxicity there, and it is not safe to be your full self there, just flat out. If you lay it all out, people will potentially see, like I said, as a target or not a team player or, whatever. It's not going to be safe for you and your employment. So you kind of had to pick and choose. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy in that sort of environment? So what do you all think? Do you have pro tips on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been in that environment too, right? Where I even remember a boss saying to me after a pretty large layoff, well, think of it as job security to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we have a lot of listeners that are actually in HR professionals, but we also have a lot of listeners that are not. So I will say from an HR standpoint, layoffs suck for us in the sense because we don't like and we enjoy in doing them. Like it's not fun for HR. But having a boss then tell you job security, like it felt like a slap in the face, honestly, because I already felt guilt for having a job and having to roll these layoffs off and doing all the background work for it, and then you're telling me, well, I still have my job, so I should be thankful. Well, yes, I am, but it's just such a sick way. It's so sick and twisted to think of it. I think you have to know when to get out of any job for that. So you got to workshop that shit, right? You got to figure out this is not the place for me because I can't be myself. And that's one thing I think I have in my career gotten out of jobs quickly because I know that I can't be 100% my authentic self, then I'm not going to be able to do my job and do my job well.
Geppetto that shit.
I mean, the one thing I'd add again, and I sometimes talk about these prompts that you can use is like literally a ChatGPT prompt, because people may hear that and think, oh shit, I've said that to people. Like it's job security and it's well-intentioned. And intention is all and great, but part of leadership, and not just leadership as a manager, but leadership as an employee, as you go through, especially in the workplace, in life as well, but is thinking more about impact and really not just thinking about yourself, well, this is what I meant, really thinking about how your communications might land to somebody else. And so whether it's I'm in a layoff, my employees are in HR and they have to help the layoff, what can I say without having toxic positivity? And I guarantee you'll get some good talking points, again, to put in your own voice, but may also point out things like that can say, well-intentioned, you may say something like that, but don't, because the exact reason that Jamie's saying. And so just knowing that a lot of your communication at work and thinking about others, even when you're an employee and you see something else of toxic positivity, you have to be mindful of making sure that you're not the person that becomes the negative person in the office. Like there's a real fine balance between bringing reality, which is really where you want to thread that needle, and thinking about, how do I think others in the office perceive me? And that's really, it's actually a lot harder to do than it sounds, but really to stop and think, as you're coming into the office every day or you're remote, whatever that looks like, are your interactions with your colleagues always like, great, here we go? And sometimes you'll go through periods where that's true, but if that's it consistently every day, or you're just like, this is ridiculous, you're having an impact on other people, but you're also having an impact on yourself. And so as you're going through those things, thinking about, okay, how can I be more realistic than this Cheerio CEO without being like the Debbie Downer or Danny Downer in the office, and really reflecting on that and finding that balance, because you don't want to be the person that's the complete opposite either.
Love that.
Look, I'm just trying to live up to the version of me my dogs think that I am, assuming I've got it all together. Meanwhile, I'm Googling, can dogs eat watermelon? Which I legitimately had to Google last week. Thank you, my children. Realizing then we're out of food and I forgot flea meds. Chewy had both and delivered fast. Now they're well fed and itch free and still think I have it all under control. Thanks, Chewy. With over 100,000 products from top pet brands, Chewy makes it easy to find everything from food and treats to beds and toys, all delivered to your door 1 to 2 days. They also carry supplies for birds, fish, reptiles, and other small pets. To support your pet's health, they offer prescription medications, telehealth vet visits, pet insurance, and are expanding in-person vet clinics across the country. As temperatures rise, so do the risk of fleas and ticks. Even for indoor pets, these pests can spread through other animals, visits to the groomer or the vet, and even hitch a ride on us and tiny humans. Chewy carries a wide range of vet recommended flea and tick medications to help to protect your pet year round. AutoShip lets you schedule reoccurring deliveries of the essentials you need most, so you never run out. It's flexible, easy to manage, and can be changed or canceled at any time. Customer support is available 24/7 by phone or chat, with expert advice always on hand. And with their 100% satisfaction guaranteed, you can return any item within a year, no questions asked. I spend way too much time running to the pet store, usually last minute, but Chewy completely changed the game for me. The selection is wild, and I swear they have every brand for my picky pets will actually eat and then some. I found everything from treats to toys to supplements I didn't even know I needed. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now, you can save $20 off your first order and get free shipping by going to chewy.com/HRBesties. That's chewy.com/HRBesties to save $20 off your first order plus free shipping. Chewy.com/HRBesties. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details.
As the temps start rising, I have an urge to refresh my closet. I might be a slightly different size than I was last summer, or just want a new bathing suit or some cute new things. But I don't want to waste money on something I'll just wear once or just for one season. Quince has changed that. Quince's clothes are timeless, lightweight, and far more elevated than anything else at their price. It finally feels like my wardrobe can match my standards. They have 100% European linen shorts, dresses from $30, and super cute luxe swimwear. And the best part is that everything with Quince is half the cost of similar brands because they work with top artisans and cut out the middlemen to give you luxury without the markup. Now, I just got a cute green suitcase for my girls' trip this summer, and now I'm looking at all the options at Quince to fill it up. Give your summer closet an upgrade with Quince. Go to quince.com/HRBesties for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/HRBesties to get free shipping and 365-day returns. It's quince.com/HRBesties.
To that point, questions and comments? I know, Ashley, you had a question that you were saving. You wrote it on your hand, right? So,
Well, I rubbed it off because but no, intentionally, because
Oh, okay.
I thought about it and I think I need to adjust it a little bit.
okay.
Because my initial thought was smash or pass, like Geppetto, Lost Boys, Pinocchio. But you can't play. That's not the right phrasing because Pinocchio's like
A wooden boy.
a boy. It's just, it's not the right,
God.
like, that's not the right phrasing. But I just, and so I was trying to think it's not it's not appropriate. I wouldn't say that.
No, nope.
And so what's a boring way to say that? Where's ChatGPT when I need it?
Fuck, marry, kill.
No.
Friends or not friends?
Friends or not friends. I mean, Lost Boys to me, it's like that time I was in Miami that I mentioned previously, and it was all the private equity guys at the bar. Like the Lost Boys are like drinking, smoking it up in that,
Yes.
kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just was thinking fondly of Geppetto. I think that's just the point I was trying to get at. Like,
Oh, okay. You had Geppetto on the brain.
I mean, but like think about that. Poor beat down Geppetto living in his workshop since the 1500s.
Mhm.
Sitting there just trying to make a friend, and then all of a sudden, of course, bad things have to happen. Poor guy.
I'm a little wooden boy. Yeah.
I don't know how to end that.
Yeah, I'll go into my comment.
That was a lot to unpack. Okay. It's going to keep me up tonight, but that's okay. I may text you later and have with some questions. That's okay. Jamie, what do you got?
Moving on. If anyone tells you to look at the bright side while like your life is on fire, either hand them a hose or a match.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Just the phrase at least should just be, that's the ultimate corporate cringe speak that we should just strike that. Anytime you're starting something with at least, stop and go awkwardly walk away, but until you can think of something else to say.
It's like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Man, Jamie, like you mentioning that just like flooded a whole bunch of memories for me of people doing just that. And me responding just real. And that did not work well. I remember one time I was like, no, fuck
Yeah.
you. Like things aren't good. Yeah.
Respectfully, of course.
Respectfully, of course, as always.
Fuck you, disrespectfully.
Yeah, I know. Damn. Like it's the worst day of my life. And you're like, oh, but at least
You're like, oh, look at the bright side.
maybe later I will look at the bright side. Oh,
Do you want to hear some good news? Let me tell you about myself. That's
oh
another one.
Oh my God.
Oh, jeez. People, right?
Oh, they're the worst. It's like, read the fucking room.
Ah, fucking people. Well, I will share. I have like so many questions and so many comments. I'm actually like flooded with a ton, but I'll just do a quick comment in the form of a quick corporate story time just to nail one of the points Ashley just said about not wanting to come across as, the negative person in a room, right? I was at a workshop. Well, we didn't call it that. It was, for us, that was an offsite. But we were literally doing strategic planning on how to make things better for the business, right? So we were planning out the entire year. And a few colleagues and I, we start talking about the things that aren't working well, right, as areas of focus. And, you kind of not necessarily start joking about it, but, you're just kind of like, you kind of keep it light, like, okay, it's not so bad, but we are, talking about some of these things because we all are trying to decide, again, key imperatives for the next year. And out of nowhere, our leader just starts screaming at us. Like I was shaking. Like I was about to run out of the room. I felt so unsafe. She was so, just literally freaking out on us, shaking herself, just so angry, so mad. And how dare you all? It was just out of nowhere for me, right? Because again, I'm very much a realist. Like I just want to let's lay it all out. And that really struck a nerve. So to Ashley's point about perception in the office, and we weren't even being like negative about it. We were being more like, "Whew, okay, then we got this thing. Oh, okay." Just it was kind of a laundry list because, it was a laundry list. Place was fucked up. So let's just call spades spades so we can play the fucking cards already. But really got reamed there. So just an example on reading the room, and somehow, even when you are being delicate, but maybe you're listing too many things out all at once, it can really strike a nerve in people that, take things, personally. You don't know what people are taking personally, but damn, that one haunts me. Instantly, they lost my trust. They lost everything from me in just that 1 second. So it was wild. So be careful out there, laying things out, Ooh, it can be dangerous being too honest, especially in fake ass places. Oh, yeah. So that was fun. The drama. Oh my God. Yay. Everything's great. We're just so happy to be here.
Good vibes only.
Just wish on a star. Just wish on a star. That's all you need.
Oh, yes. When you're wishing on a star, bitches. Bye, besties.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Catherine Edwards is our go-to for calm, smart takes on the economy. She joined us on a recent episode of the Her Money podcast to remind us that if we end up going into a recession, or if we're already in one right now, and that might be possible, that, your investments might dip, but they always bounce back. So if you need clarity rather than chaos around today's headlines, tune into Her Money. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.